for almost as long as Islam has been completed. Like when, it's been there since after the time of Prophet ﷺ. And to be able to learn about how to understand this and how we as Muslims today must look at it, we have to look back at our history. Because history, it's not just about the actions of what a few emperors, what a few generals, or how life was back then and what its influences was. It's about learning about where, why things are why things the way they are, where have we come from, but also to see its lessons, to be able to emulate its successes, but also learn from its failures, so that we don't repeat it. And we have a lot of history in the Quran and Hadith for this very purpose, so that we can learn from it and implement it within our lives. And even the early Muslims, they looked towards history, because when the Islamic Empire spread, they conquered many regions, which included Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, India, Byzantium, and many other civilizations. And so this is how they were able to develop they were able to take the knowledge from these civilizations and apply it and also develop upon it. And so speaking of the early Muslims, the event I want to emphasize today what happened during the Khilaf of Harun al-Rashid, where as Amir al-Muslimin, it was his duty to lead everyone in Friday prayer, because his role was as Khalifa was a secular and a religious one at the same time. And the incident which I want to talk about happened while he was doing Hajj, and he had a guide with him. His name was Qadi Abu Yusuf. He was a judge, but he was also one of the pioneering scholars of the Hanafi madhab. And so it was right before Dhuhr prayer. He was supposed to lead it, but then at that moment he wanted to get cupping done, so he got it done. But in Hanafi madhab, when you bleed, your wudu gets invalidated. So to get to water, Harun al-Rashid would have had to go from the Kaaba all the way through 1,000 rows of people to get to water. But then people would obviously be stopping him since he's Khalifa, to say salam, to ask him to make dua for him, or to say other things, etc. But then he saw Imam Malik, and from the Maliki madhab, bleeding does not invalidate wudu. And so he asked Imam Malik, is it okay if I pray after cupping? And he said, yeah, sure, that's okay. Because from his perspective, bleeding does not take away wudu. And so he led the salah in Masjid al-Haram in front of everyone. And after the salah, the students of Qadi Abu Yusuf, they went to him and they demanded angrily, why did you let him pray? You knew he bled, so why did you let him lead the salah? But then Qadi Abu Yusuf, he responded by saying, anyone who doubts that prayer is from the Khawarij, and the Khawarij were the extremists who left Islam. Like, they arose during the time of fitna, during Uthman radhiyallahu anhu, I'm pretty sure, and they started causing a lot of fitna among the ummah. Anyways, and so the reason the Qadi let it happen was because he understood that no matter what, all Muslims, our roots are the same. Perhaps one fruit and another fruit, they may disagree with each other. They may have different opinions, or they may have different convincing arguments, but still our roots are the same. We believe in the same core message, and we still make dua for each other no matter what. And so Harun al-Rashid decided to follow the Maliki opinion on the issue. And Abu Yusuf didn't make his followers repeat the prayer, but instead gave the Khalifa the benefit of the doubt instead. And so the early Muslims, they understood the difference of opinions as something like this. While many of us today, we may see someone doing something differently, and we may be like, oh, and we may just kick him out of Islam entirely. And so if we constantly keep up the discord, we're definitely going to pay in the hereafter. But then it's the next generation that's going to be paying in this world, because they're going to be full of doubt and confusion. When the religion of Islam has already been in the Quran, its principles are already complete, but people will be confused because of all the fighting. And Allah Ta'ala, He's already invited us back to the fundamentals. And it said in the Quran in Surah Shura, ayah number 15, so to that the religion of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala invite, and remain on a right course as you are commanded, and do not follow the inclinations, but say, I have believed what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has revealed of the Quran, and I have been commanded to do justice among you. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is our Lord and your Lord. For us are our deeds, and for you are your deeds. There is no need for argument between us and you. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will bring us together, and to Him is the final destination. So this ayah clearly commands that yes, people will have will have their differences. As Muslims, we will have different opinions on different issues. But ultimately, our beliefs, our way of life, our ibadat, mu'amalat, it all comes from the same thing. It all comes from the Quran and Sunnah. And so that shouldn't be the reason to create fitna or contention between ourselves. Because if we're able to stick to this point, in the way we teach our deen or present our deen, I mean, we all teach and we all learn our deen differently from childhood. Some people may grow up in the Hanafi madhab, some Maliki, some Shafi'i. Like, there's so many like different ways people are taught Islam. Like, even when doing tawaf, like what I read was that when doing tawaf, you just need to keep reciting dua. But then I saw a lot of groups, some from Malaysia, some from Turkey, they were reciting lots of dhikr during that. So maybe that was how they learned it. But then I learned it a different way. That's not a reason for contention. Obviously, they're doing, what they think is best, and we're doing what we think is best. In the end, it's our umrah. We'll still get rewarded for it. We all have the same intention of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the main point. And that's just one example. Because if we don't keep this in mind and we just saying that, oh, these people, they're doing it differently, they're deviants or they're kuffar, then that's just doing a great disservice to ourselves. It's doing a great disservice to others as well. And in many ways, our good deeds would be nullified because of how we're constantly pointing out others' deeds and saying that they're wrong. And this act is called tafarruq, where we constantly say that, oh, these people are kuffar because they do this. Like, this is what the Khawarij did all the way back then. They declared that Ali radiallahu anhu was a kuffar. They had the audacity to do that. And so tafarruq, it's obviously a major sin to do that. We don't know. Firstly, we don't know what people really believe, and secondly, to really declare someone a kuffar because of such a trivial issue. It's not. We've been commanded against it, obviously, as I've kept mentioning before. And so the last thing I want to mention is that yes, we are entitled to our own opinions and to be convinced of whatever we want to be convinced of. There are perhaps scholars or other people whose opinions we think make no sense to us, but we still need to have respect for them as fellow believers. We can still talk to them about our differences. We can still, discuss these things and ask, oh, why do you believe such and such? We can discuss that, but then after discussing, we can still go back to talking with each other, eating with each other, visiting. We can still be brothers and sisters in Islam. No matter what, even if we do think differently on some matters. And to be honest, most of the matters we disagree on, they're not really that big of a thing. Like, a lot of people disagree, oh, where should you put your hands during salah? We're still doing salah no matter what. That shouldn't be something to fight over. Like Hanafis, they put it on much of the time they put it on their stomach. And then, I forgot what the other madhabs positions were. Yeah, some people up here. Some people decide not to put it on their chest or stomach at all. Yeah. So such a small thing shouldn't divide the ummah so much. I mean, we have bigger issues than that right now. And there's also many different scholarly issues that people disagree on. That's just one example. But we can still talk about our differences. But we have to do it privately. We have to have proper adab and etiquette with it. We have to be nice about it. We have to be respectful. We can't just start fighting over it or just start a war over it. Because if we're able to discuss our differences with Jews, Christians, atheists, in interfaith settings, why can't we do it with our fellow Muslims? There's a way to do this. It's called ikhtilaf, where we can have these discussions in a proper way. Ikhtilaf is how we're able to connect with each other, not tafarruq. With ikhtilaf, we can easily keep our ummah united and connected. We can keep our identity strong. But with tafarruq, it just creates division. It creates fitna. And so when we have tafarruq and realize it's important, it can help keep us together, and it can help us be able to enjoy the great deen of Islam, no matter how we choose to practice it. And then I hope that you've realized the importance of history and how looking back can really help us get a better perspective on the present. Like, much of the issues of the ummah today, we can look back maybe 100-200 years and see where it has come from. We can see it from the decline of Muslim empires. For example, why did the Ottoman Khilafah, Like, why did they decline? Why did they fall? And ultimately, the final push for that was in 1908 when the Young Turks overthrew Sultan Abdul Hamid, but that's a whole different story. Or you can see why Muslim empires in India fell. What happened in Iran? Or what happened in other parts of the Muslim world? What happened to make it the situation it is today? Or we don't need to just look at that. We can look at other parts of history too, and be able to take lessons from it. I mean, the Muslims long time ago, they used to do that. They used to look at Egypt, they used to look at Persia, because it all came into their empire. They all had easy access to it. And so when we're able, because there's a saying, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And so obviously we don't want to repeat the bad parts. I mean, for example, there was a 2008 financial crisis, but then there was also the Great Depression, which happened 70, 80 years earlier. Earlier that we could have learned from, but unfortunately didn't happen. And there's so many other spots where we could be able to apply to our lives, so that we can have like a better present for ourselves, and so we can also make our ummah strong as well. Jazakallah khairan.